My name is Rosalie Boushie. I live in Hays, Montana. Yeah, but I don't know what it is. My grandparents were giving me my Indian name, they were naming all my brothers and sisters and saying it in Robot and saying what it meant. And then they got to me and they discussed it and they said it, but they didn't say what it meant. And it's on a tape at my mother's, but somebody got in her all her stuff and threw all those tapes out. So I'll never know now. But I was given one of my great-grandfather Bushyhead's wives' name. He had 3 wives and I was given one of their names. I don't know which one. I hope it's that one that sounds real warrior-like. I was born in Hays, Montana at the Sacred Heart Church in 1959. Aaniiih. My mom is Roberta White Cow and my dad is Richard Johnny Boushie. My grandparents on my mom's side are Joe and Josephine White Cow. And on my dad's side it is Pete and Victoria Boushie. My children are Martin Strait, Heather Boushie, Evan Boushie. Never thought of that. I'm proud to be a Aaniiih, but yeah, means I own a space here. Part ownership. I went to the mission school until I was a freshman and it burnt up. Then I went to the Hays School. I graduated from Hays Law School in 1977. I did not like it at all. When I was in the 1st grade, that sister made me pee in my pants and she wouldn't let me change. She made me stay like that all day. And I was all embarrassed and I got traumatized because I got like real shy. And I just didn't like it up there. And I was scared to get hit by that big old yardstick from that other nun, so I always tried to stay way and small in the corner somewhere, way in the shadow, where nobody would notice me, enough to hit me with the yardstick anyway. Sister Giswalda and Sister Claire, Sister Benno, Sister... Geez, I can't remember. Those are the only really 3 I remember. Sister Bartholomew, Sister Helen, them sisters you mean? Sister Nora. Those are from the grade school, mission grade school. Deer meat. Once, but that was like when I was in high school. Let's see, I go hunting rocks, or I go picking rocks, different kind of rocks, and I used to ride horses. If I could be around horses and working with them, I'd do that when I could. What else did I do for fun? Visit my friends, they're all crazy. That's about it. Oh, I hear nothing but Assiniboine and girl from my grandparents growing up. Until when I got like in junior high, closer to junior high. Well, my great-grandma Lena, I used to stay with her quite a bit. And she's like half Grobot and not half Grobot, half Fort Peck Assiniboine and half white. And she spoke fluent Grobot and Assiniboine. And she kind of mixed them together, so I'm not really sure about what some of those words they say. Oh, you should know this. Elmer Mann used to tell me, you should know all these words. But because Grandma Lena would like mix them together, I wasn't quite sure. I always thought Iitaanɔɔn'i was a Grobot trickster. Or he wasn't even, he was a Assiniboine. But my great-grandma Lena, she was half white and half Fort Peck Assiniboine. Her mother got raped by one of those soldiers from that Fort Assiniboine. And that's where she came from. Then her mother gave her away when she was a baby to Speak Thunder's on agency, and they raised her. Oh yeah, yeah. I lived in Missoula. I lived in uh, Blackwood, Idaho. I lived in Spokane. In Walpanet, I lived there. I just moved around. Didn't stay very long in any one, two places. I really like Spokane, except it's hot. People are good. There's not so much prejudice. Growing up, well, because I was the oldest girl, and when my dad and my mom quit, well, we were still burning wood and hauling water. So because all my little brothers were really small yet, I had to do all the hard chores because I was bigger than my sisters. So I ended up by hauling water by the buckets from the creek for drinking and cooking, whatever, and chopping all the wood, chopping and stacking it up. Growing up, we weren't really allowed to go to them because we were kids. But I remember in Idaho when we went to Mike Boushie's funeral, my grandpa Joe's uncle. They had a ceremony, but still they made all the kids stay out. They wouldn't let little kids in there, but they painted him in his coffin. Oh, about every twice a week from school, or once a week from school for sure. What do they need? They need security. Like I know the people that, some of the elders, this past winter I worked real hard on getting wood to them because they, heck, one load of wood you could burn up in a week or less. And they were only bringing them a load of wood, and some of that wood wouldn't even burn. So we end up like getting squaw wood off the side of the roads and stuff and taking it to them. So I think that heating and a ride, because they never have rides with food. Yep, they don't have food because they don't get very much from these programs because there's only one of them, one or two, and what they give one or two isn't enough to feed them for the month. Or if you get a meal from the senior center, they don't deliver them. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Oh yeah, well, I know enough to understand people. I could understand people. I never could speak it. I could always understand it, but I never could speak it. My youngest brother, he speaks fluent Gros-Ventre, you know? And my grandma, she never talked nothing but Gros-Ventre, just my grandma Josephine. And my kids, when we go to her house, she'd call us all by our Indian names. She didn't call us by our white names. And she'd speak nothing but Gros-Ventre to us. So I understood what she was saying, but to speak it, no. But I know one cuss word, and it's not even a cuss word. It just means something really vile and ugly and gross. Because they're not weird words like if you say duck. It's not a word duck. It's a description of that animal. So I couldn't figure that out for the longest time. But yeah, like Katie Longhorse, she used to come and visit us all the time from Malta. She's my grandma too, but she'd always talk Gros-Ventre. And she'd tell me Gros-Ventre words and see if I remember what they meant. I don't know why I was always around my grandparents. But I know growing up, my grandma Lena, she would always practice how they lived, but never out in the open, like she never outside or never around in public. She was always in her house doing it. I think she died when she was in her late 90s. She was born in 1881? No, 1861. She said when they were enrolling them, they were giving them what's their birth date. They never had a date. And she told them when the frog croaked was when she was born. So they just gave her April 16th, I think 15th or 16th. Today, it's like we don't have any more say over anything. today. Growing up, there was like all these councilmen, they really were looking out for their communities and making sure that we really didn't need anything really bad, like, I don't know, I guess things are different now because kids don't have to haul water or chop wood or do those kind of things right now. So there really isn't nothing for them to do. But if they don't have horses, they could just ride or things like that. So I can't remember what your question is now. I'm getting lost in my thoughts. Yeah, we don't have no say in what our council does. None. Yeah. Well, I don't dance powwow. But yeah, I always like them. I go to them. My dad influenced my life the most. He was military, and we were growing up. He taught us how to be responsible and know where each other was at all times. Even today, we still have to know where each other is. He would let us go 2 or 3 at a time, and if we didn't come back at the same time, all of us that went, we'd all get in trouble. So we always had to know where each other was so that we could all be home at the same time and not get in trouble. But yeah, he was a real positive influence. He was a real good hunter. He provided food for us. We were really poor. Really poor. We didn't. I think my mom worked for BIA for a long time, but my dad couldn't work because he was from Rocky Boy, or enrolled in Rocky Boy. So he couldn't get a job there, so he started the first ambulance, and these people, when they needed help, they always came and got him. So yeah, he was a positive influence in my life, yeah. Hopefully, but I doubt it. There's like, I think all Indians should be one, just no matter what tribe. And I think all their blood should be combined. Like, I have just from my grandma Lena, like, my grandpa would be a quarter, my mom would be a 8, so I'd be a 16th, have a 16th white blood in me. And I think every other Indian blood in me should be considered Indian blood, and it should make my enrollment to a full blood. It's hell with the white blood, because there's too little of it to matter. But yeah, I think that instead of saying this tribe or that tribe, I think that would be one way to accomplish being like more how would you say, look out for each other more, instead of just Assiniboines watch out for Assiniboines, Gros-Ventre watch out for Gros-Ventre. They both watch out for each other all the time. Yeah, that would be a good way to do that. I don't think it'll ever be, but maybe. You younger people could do that. Just really get radical and demand. One thing about my family, my great-great-grandfather Boushie he was head chief of the Gros-Ventre for 77 years. And he was a real holy man. They couldn't even say his name. Nobody could say his name. That's why you hardly see his name in the history. But he could see things. And my grandma Josephine, she could see things before they happened. And so I think they passed that down. But then again, I think all Indians have that power. They just don't know they have it yet. But I could see spirits. I could feel them and see them. Good ones, bad ones, it don't matter. I could see them. And everybody always tease me about being afraid of the dark, and I tell them, no, I'm not afraid of the dark. I don't like what's in the dark. So I still don't go anywhere. Like, I don't go too many places after dark. I like to stay home or stay wherever I'm at. I won't travel around after dark. Too many spirits. Bertha Snow told me that these houses up here all have spooks in them. When they had a meeting at one time, because nobody could get rid of their ghosts, no matter who they got to come and pray them out. Well, they had a meeting with all these medicine men. I think 6 or 7 showed up, and they said that they can't fix it because this is a burial ground. And Bertha Snow, I used to be a CHR, and she was one of my patients. And she'd always tell me stories or tell me things, and I'd visit her all afternoon. But she told me that when she was a little girl, that Spanish flu came, and her mother died from it. And when they died, she said they just put them out. They were putting them up in the trees here, how they buried them, but they were dying so fast. Big families, like 10, 11, 12 or more people in a home. They were dying so fast, they just put them in boxes and laid them out because they not enough people to dig graves for them or anything. But she said when that was all over, her and her dad went and looked in all these boxes and looked for her mother. But I was thinking from that Medicine Hill by George captures, where above Ghost Plains, all this way, all up to the other end of the mountain, there's graves from people dying from that Spanish flu. My grandma Josephine told me that they lived in the old shack down by Ruby Jones's down here. She said they didn't have any glass on the windows, she said, so they just hung gun sacks up. And she said late one night, she said they heard this old Model T Ford pull up, and this guy in his long white coat, she said, with a mask over his mouth. He opened pulled that gunny sack aside and threw a ball of cotton in there. That's when her mom got sick and died, and everybody started getting sick and dying from that Spanish flu. So they did that on purpose to us. I don't like that at all. And we do have a voice, but it's because the council, when they redid all those codes and stuff, well, they made it so that it doesn't matter what, we don't have a voice. I never got anything to vote on for a long time. The only thing I get to vote on now is the council, who goes on the council. But I wish that would change back to the way it was, where we all had a voice in what was going on, Be radical. Demand. Our treaty rights are we should have the best of everything, and we don't. They're I don't know, just be radical and demand. Go through your council, make sure your council is doing the right thing and not stealing from its own people. But, straighten it out, be honest and truthful. Don't let them white people, don't believe them, because they're going to lie to you and take everything you have. We could be one of the richest tribes in the whole United States if our council would just say, hell with you and your money, and work our own reservation, work our land that they gave us this. Thought we'd all die here, and we never, and they didn't realize they gave us one of the richest pieces of land around. These mountains are full of gold, all the way through them it's full of gold. It could be just the tip of that caldera, though. I don't know. I really don't know. But that's all I'm saying. Get involved. Be involved all the time. Care what goes on. Care what they're doing down there. Don't let them shut you out.